Good afternoon, sir.
Could you introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Officer William Merkley, Merkley.
How are you employed, sir?
Currently with the Gwinnett County Police Department.
How long have you been with the police department?
I've been with Gwinnett County for 6 years.
Do you have prior law enforcement experience?
No, sir.
Post, sir?
Yes, sir, I am.
Post is peace officer standard and training.
Yes, sir.
Gives you arrest powers in the state of Florida.
Yes, sir, it does.
What's your current assignment?
I'm currently assigned to Gwinnett County Police Department Special Victims Unit as a detective.
Okay. And I'm going to need you to speak up because I'm hard of hearing and one of the defense counsel.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
July 10th, 2022, what was your assignment, sir?
I was assigned to our West Precinct as a uniform officer, working calls, responding to calls of service, working accidents, and responding to crime scenes.
Does West Precinct encompass the Peachtree Corners area?
Yes, sir, it does.
Were you in fact called to the QT at the Peachtree Corners Forum?
I was.
And this is just for the record, the QT, Peachtree Centers, that is actually in Gwinnett County, correct?
Yes, sir, it is.
What did you see when you arrived?
We were dispatched to a person shot call at that address. When I arrived, I observed a black Dodge Charger parked next to the air pump outside the QT. There was a black male laying on the ground, face down, in a pool of blood. I was told by fire department on scene that the victim at the time was deceased.
How quickly, from the time that the 911 call went out, did you actually arrive at the scene?
Within 10 minutes.
What were your duties and responsibilities when you got to the scene?
Once at the scene, secure the crime scene, make sure nobody comes in, tampers with anything, moves anything. Once it was determined where the victim was deceased, start canvassing for witnesses. I checked with QT to check for any security footage they had of the scene of the incident.
Were you the first responding officer?
I was not. Officers had gotten there before me.
Just moments before?
A few minutes.
Okay. And did you actually secure the scene, get the QT video, and some of the other things like that?
I did, yes.
And did you stay on the site for a decent amount of time?
Yes, we did.
Were you there when crime scene responded?
Yes, sir, I
Did
was.
you see and place evidence markers here?
I did.
What's the purpose of evidence markers?
It's to note items of importance to be documented, photographed. Usually they're either numbered or lettered to lay out how they found them and where they were on the scene.
I'm going to show you what's been previously marked. Show the defense counsel States Exhibit 6 through 20. If you take a moment to refer to States Exhibit 6 through 20. Did you have a chance to look through the photographs?
Yes, sir, I have.
And are those photographs true and accurate representation of the scene as you saw it July 10th, 2022?
They are.
Judge would tender States 6 through 20 at this time.
Any objections?
No objection, sorry, no objection. No objection.
Okay. States Exhibit 6 through 20 are admitted without objection.
Officer Merkley, permission to publish this?
Certain.
Officer Merkley, I'm going to walk you through States 6 through 20, all right?
Yes, sir.
There's a monitor right there.
Let's look at States number 6. Can you give a brief description for the jury and for the record about what States 6 depicts?
This is Mr. Coleman outside his vehicle as he was found when officers arrived on scene.
Okay. And the car to the right of Mr. Coleman, what kind of car is that?
That is a Dodge Charger.
Thank you. Go through State 7. Is that a closer up view, Mr. Coleman?
Yes, sir.
I see some crime scene markers down there. Those were placed by CSI, sir?
Yes, sir, they were.
States 8. Is that a reverse angle of the body that you just mentioned, Mr. Coleman?
Yes, sir.
Now, as you look at State 7 and State 8, do you see any firearm that's on the ground at all?
The firearm, just an empty holster.
You referred to an empty holster, sir. That States 9 that's going to be coming up on the screen. Sorry. Is that the holster, sir?
Yes, sir.
Is there also something else found on the ground by the body of Mr. Coleman? I should refer you to States 10.
Yes, that was found on the ground by Mr. Coleman.
States 11. What's in States 11?
It's a fired shell casing.
Okay, let's talk about bullets and shell cases for just a second. Any of the jury members might not understand the difference. Can you describe what a shell casing is as opposed to a bullet?
So a bullet is an intact cartridge. It has the projectile still in it, hasn't been fired. When a bullet is fired, what's ejected out of the gun, if it's a semi-automatic handgun or any semi-automatic firearm, that shell casing that houses the primer, the powder, and the bullet itself ejects out of the gun, leaving just the cartridge behind.
So you talked about a semi-automatic handgun. Is there a handgun known as a revolver?
There is.
What's the difference as it handles the casing in a revolver and a semi-automatic?
Revolvers don't eject fired casings unless you do it manually.
So, could you describe how a revolver maintains shell casing?
Revolvers have a cylinder housing that loads. You have to load each individual shot into. Once that housing is closed into the breech, every fire that trigger, that shell casing is kept in the gun by some mechanism in the revolver.
So what we're looking at here is not a bullet, but a shell case.
Correct.
Found on near the body of Mr. Coleman?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Go to States 12. Is this a different angle that orients us towards the mask and the body of Mr. Coleman?
It is.
Sir, is there an air pump beside the charger that you can see?
There is. You can see the hose at the.
Pointed out on the TV screen.
If I stand?
Yeah, please.
Did you see the air hose right up here behind the trash can?
Okay, thank you, sir. You can take your seat again. Sir, did you have an opportunity to look into the car of the victim's car?
I did.
Is this a shot of the victim's car?
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir. Can we go to States 15? Is that a shot of the passenger's side car of the victim?
Yes, sir.
So within side of the passenger side car, on that side, do we have a close-up on State 16?
We do.
Sir, States 17, is that the floorboard passenger side?
Yes, it is.
Is there something significant on the floorboard that maybe top of sure?
Yes, there's a second empty gun holster.
Y'all able to determine which kind of gun holster it was?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Or would you want to-
No, not me.
And would you step down and just point onto the TV screen where the second holster was?
It's just right here.
Okay, thank you. Is that a close-up of what you just referred to?
Yes, it is.
States 19. Is that being held up by some hand?
It is.
I noticed that they're wearing gloves. Is there a reason why a crime scene would wear gloves?
To keep from contaminating the evidence, we don't know if it was handled by one of the offenders on scene, that was on scene, the victim. It also preserves any kind of touch DNA evidence.
Now, the States 20 is the final picture of the victim's car. What's that in the back?
I believe it's a booster seat.
For a toddler?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Sir, are you familiar with, did you have an opportunity to observe the QT video and look at the offender car?
I did.
Did you have a general idea of the classification of that car, what kind of car it was?
Upon looking at the video at first, I couldn't tell, but after Googling, we knew it was a black Mercedes from the video. Looking at the front headlight assembly on that car, we determined it was a E350 Mercedes.
Does the Mercedes E350 have a unique headlight assembly?
It does. It's got two individual bulbs on top on each side, and then there's a single strip below those lights.
So, knowing that you have a Mercedes E350 and knowing the general time, were there any license plate readers that flock form was provided?
There were.
Sir, can you tell the jury what license plate readers?
So Flock is a system that we use. We're part of one of the main departments in the metro Atlanta area that uses the system. What they are they're stationary license plate readers, which send alerts to officers who have the system open. They're used to notify us that there are stolen vehicles, stolen license plates, individuals with warrants attached to cars driving through certain cross streets, intersections. They also have a search function that allows us to look up suspect vehicles for crimes that we may have a plate for or may have a description of the vehicle.
Was that in fact done in this case?
Yes, sir, it was.
How many black Mercedes E350s were driving around in P4 dispatch?
To my knowledge, only one.
And were y'all able to discern the license plate?
I do. I don't recall the numerics, but I do recall it was an Illinois license plate.
I'm going to show you a series of photographs previously shown to the defense counsel. States 21 through 36. Ask me to take a moment to look through that. Did you have a chance to look through that?
Yes, sir, I have.
Are those photographs of the suspect vehicle as it relates to this case?
Yes, sir, it is.
Is that from the Flock system?
It is.
Flock, does that automatically record date, times, and locations?
Yes, sir, it does.
Mechanically?
Automatically, yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I tender states 21 through 36, and inside of 21 through 36 is also the business record certification.
States Exhibit 21 through 36 are admitted without objection.
I'm going to direct your attention to and permission to publish.
Certainly.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm hard of seeing and hard of hearing. Can you make out the license plate that's there on States 21?
Yes, sir, it is CV 90487.
CV is in Charlie Victor 90487.
Yes, sir.
That came back to a black Mercedes E350 with that green headlights.
Yes, sir, it did.
Date and time that's indicated by Flock on this.
It looks like July 9th, 2022 at 22:16, which would be 10:16 in Eastern Standard Time.
For those that are not familiar with military time, how do you discern military time? How do you know that 2216 is constitutional?
In the morning, 1 through 12, up to noon is still 1 through 12. We know there's 24 hours in a day, so we just keep counting till 2300 and it resets to 0 hour at midnight.
So if I write at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we have 1 to 12, and then 2 o'clock, 2 to 12, and that's how we get to 14.
Yes, sir.
So 2216, I believe you said, is 1016 in the evening?
Yes, sir.
And does it also indicate the location where the car was at 10:16 in the evening on July 9th?
It hit off a flock camera in Atlanta, looks like Atlanta Police Department. I don't know where Northside and 17 are, but it's in their jurisdiction.
All right, let's go to States 22 and, pardon me. States 22, is this a flock camera just a few minutes later?
I believe it's going to be the same camera, just 1 second later.
All right. And does flock sometimes catch a car more than once?
Yes, sir, it does.
Let's go to States 23. Could you give us the date and time on this one?
This is July 10th, 2022 at 12:18 a.m.
So just a little bit past midnight?
Yes, sir.
What's the location?
Harrison Road and Redden. It's in
Dan?
Redan in DeKalb County.
States 24, flock capture of that same license plate. Could you give us the date, time, and location?
July 10th, 2022 at 12:24 in the morning.
Okay. And location, sir?
Within Tucker Precinct of DeKalb County Police Department.
Sir, States 25, could you give us the date, time, and location?
July 10th, 2022 at 12:26 a.m. Mountain Industrial northbound at, I'm not sure what EP is, but it's still in DeKalb County.
Yes, sir. States 26. Date, time,
Still July 10th of 2022. However, it's now 2:35 in the morning at the intersection of West Druid Hills in Brookhaven Police Department jurisdiction.
States 27, date, time, and location, sir?
It appears it's going to be the same date, time, and location for 26 and 27.
Yes, sir. States 28?
This is still July 10th, 2022, but at 12:35 in the morning. This time it's at Lawrenceville Highway in Gwinnett County and within the city of Little Burns Police Department.
States 29?
This is, again, July 10th, 2022 at 2:36 a.m. back inside Brookhaven Police Department's jurisdiction.
States 30?
7/10/2022 at 2:38 a.m. I believe NDH is North Druid Hills.
States 31?
July 10th, 2022 at 2:38 a.m. Still in Brookhaven Police Department jurisdiction.
All right. Just a couple more.
Yes, sir.
States 32?
This is 5:21 in the morning on July 10th, 2022. East Metro CID, I'm not sure where that is, but it is not in Gwinnett County.
And it says Turner Hill and Mall Parkway?
Yes, sir.
Okay. States 33?
This is again on Mall Parkway on July 10th, 2022, but this time at 10:47 a.m. Yes, ma'am.
States 34? A few seconds later?
A few seconds later at I believe the same location.
All right. States 35?
This is July 10th of 2022 at 11:26 a.m. This time entering the forum in the city of Peachtree Corners here in Gwinnett County.
And that was at what time?
11:26 a.m.
And finally, States 36?
This is Spalding Drive in the city of Peachtree Corners on July 10th, 2022 at 11:53 a.m.
that particular location going away from QT towards the care camp?
I believe so, yes.
So were you also involved, at some point defendants were arrested in this case. Present when Mr. Huey was arrested, I'm sorry, there, when Mr. Huey was arrested, did you receive his cell phone?
I did receive his phone.
And I'm going to show you States 37. Do you recognize States 37?
I do.
How do you recognize States 37?
This is Mr. Healy's iPhone, which was I gave to Detective Harrison pursuant to a search warrant.
Okay, thank you, sir. Defense counsel may have some questions.
Sir.
Judge, at this time, we'll take States 37.
Can you object? 37. Hold on just a second. Ms. Drake? Mr. Clegg? Okay, States Exhibit 37 is admitted without objection.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lewis. Doing well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. I understood your testimony to be you determined that the vehicle that you were looking for after the QT shooting was a Mercedes 350. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
I'm terrible with pronouns, so I want to understand that you. Was that when you say you, do you mean you, Officer Merkley, or someone else that's better with cars that told Officer Merkley, or was it sort of a collective, people all contributing and you come up with a Mercedes 350?
Yes, sir. I looked on Google Photos at Mercedes sedans looking for that unique headlight assembly.
Okay, so when you say you, it's you that determined it was a Mercedes 350. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And once you determined that it was a Mercedes 350, you plugged that into the flock camera to see if any flock cameras picked up a Mercedes 350 in and around the QT. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Now that's the part I want to understand. When you put that information in, are you looking in a half a mile radius, 1 mile radius? What's the radius if that's how it's determined?
So I'm looking at cross streets, streets that I know have flock cameras in directions that the vehicle possibly could have left in. Any kind of turnoffs on that path that could have been picked up on a camera.
Okay, and I want to make sure, I think I understood what you said. I want to make sure the jury understands what you said. Not every traffic light has a flock camera. Is that fair to say?
That's correct, yes.
So it's not as if from the QT we could start going out 4 cameras, 16 cameras, 32 cameras, and actually have every street monitored to see if there's a Mercedes 350 that traveled by a traffic light. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say,
okay.
Yes.
Is it from the QT there where the shooting occurred? Is it what's the nearest flock camera that you received a hit on?
It would be after, you said?
Either before or after.
So the closest one would be before the shooting, which would be entering across from the QT into the forum.
Okay, so when we say the forum, that is, I believe, the 1126.
This is not a trick. I got this to ask one set of questions, and in my mind said, let's ask a different set of questions. So I'm going to hand this back to you so you can see it. Refer to the State's exhibit
number since it's all admitted. I think it was at 11:26 on the morning of July 10th, 2022 that you have the Mercedes going into the forum entrance. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, good. And your testimony is that the forum entrance is directly across the street from the QT. Is that right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Do you know what time the 911 call came in?
I don't have the exact time now.
That's fine. But we have the Mercedes, we have the nearest camera to the QT recording the 350 Mercedes at 11:26 in the morning. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Got you. The first flock camera that captures the Mercedes 350 after the shooting is where? Where's it located?
That information I don't have.
Okay, so you don't have where the first photo of any Mercedes 350 is taken by a flock camera after the shooting in the area of the QT. Is that right?
Not that I've found.
I got you. And I want to make sure I have this part right. So you determine it's a Mercedes. We're saying it's a 350. Is it an E350?
Yes, sir.
That's what's messing me up here. I know EC. That's how Mercedes are classified, right?
Yes.
C, CL, E, G-Wagon, S-Class, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is a E350, right? Is that right?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Fantastic. So you determine it as the E350, you stick that into the flock. Flock generates this tag number that you located, right? CD90487. Do I have that right?
Yes, sir. You do.
Once you get that license back from Flock, then you ask Flock for any place that the vehicle has crossed an intersection. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir. That has the
Okay.
camera.
Okay, so that's, and then Flock tells you, oh, by the way, we have these addresses down in Atlanta, we have some addresses in DeKalb. Flock doesn't say, Flock reveals to you. This is the other places where the E350 has traveled. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the prosecutor presented it in a sort of chronological fashion from one of the earliest photos that you have before the shooting to the most recent photo that you have before the shooting. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you're only able to determine that after you get the license plate of the E350 that is closest to the QT before the shooting. Is that right?
Can you ask that question one more time?
I
sir?
think
Just
I
make
can. You only end up, Flock only ends up generating all of these prior E350 sightings after you tell it, hey, look for this license. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Nobody had given you the license. No one had given you the license plate. You had found the license plate based on your requesting any 350s that would have been in and around QT. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you familiar with all the locations where the flock is located?
Around that area or in general?
That's what I'm talking about, in and around the QT.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is what I'm trying to understand. At the point where all of the E350 sightings have been made in Atlanta, in Decatur, and of course here at Town Center, there are no E350 sightings after the shooting. Is that right?
Not while I was searching for them now.
Okay, fantastic. And there hasn't been any ladder search. There hasn't been any other additional information that you received from Flock that says, oh, now that we have some additional sightings here, or additional sightings. Is that fair to say?
Not that I received, no.
Fantastic. So from the time of the shooting till today, right now, these are all the Flock sightings that we have of the E350. Is that right?
That I'm not sure, sir. I know that these are the ones that I found at the time.
Okay.
I don't know in the follow-up if Flock was used to track this car.
Okay, but you didn't get it.
Correct.
Somebody else might have got it. That's fine. As far as all we have is you understand now. You didn't receive any other information about any 350 sightings after the shooting. Is that fair to say?
That's fair, yes, sir.
And all of those really are precursor questions, as crazy as that sounds. What I really want to know, based on your knowledge of Flock camera locations in and around the QT, what likely direction did the E350 take after the shooting such that it wasn't captured by your request for Flock photos of the E350? Do you understand that question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It would have had to travel southbound on Peachtree Parkway.
Southbound on Peachtree Parkway. If it travels If it travels southbound on does Peachtree Parkway eventually hit Atlanta?
Yes, sir. It turns into 141, which intersects with 285.
Okay. Are there zero flock cameras from the QT all the way to 141?
At the time of this, there were not.
Okay. Once the vehicle goes on to 141, that's a straight shot to 285. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Are there any flock cameras on 141 at all?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. So post shooting, as best as you can tell, it probably traveled south because there are absolutely zero flock cameras from the QT south all the way down Peachtree Parkway 141 to 285. Is that fair to say?
To my knowledge, yes, sir.
I don't have any further questions. Thank you very much.
Mr. Clegg?
My name's Tom Clegg. I just have a few questions. You were not the first officer on the scene, but you were one of the first officers on the scene. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And you were able to observe the body of the deceased, Mr. Coleman, correct?
Yes, sir.
You were able to see the holster outside of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
You were able to observe the COVID mask outside of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
You were able to observe a phone, I guess. Was there a phone near the body?
Not that I recall.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong on that, okay. But you certainly observed the shell casing, right?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. There was a second holster inside the car, correct?
Yes, sir, there was.
So there's no ambiguity. When we talk about the holster outside and the holster inside, those are separate and distinct holsters, correct?
Yes, sir.
And would both of them have corresponded to a 9mm handgun?
I can't tell that from just a holster.
Would both of them have corresponded, if you can tell us, to a semi-automatic handgun?
On the design from the holster, yes.
Now, there was, inside the Charger was found a wallet and a cell phone on the passenger seat, was there not?
Yes, sir, there was.
And were you able to determine who the owner of those items might have been?
I didn't pick up those items and look for identification.
Fair enough, sir. There is a center console in the vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir, there was.
When I say the vehicle, I mean the Charger. When you arrived, both the driver's side door and the passenger side door were open, correct?
Correct.
You actually observed or had an opportunity to observe the video from the QT depicting what had occurred, correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
And you observed, could you see inside the vehicle? Was there a scuffle inside the vehicle, could you tell?
Not that I could determine from the video we had.
Did you have any reason to believe that more than one shot was fired?
No, sir.
The shell casing was found some distance outside of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
There were no shell casings found inside of the vehicle to your knowledge, were there?
No, not that I could see.
There were no actual firearms found at the scene, were there?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Based on the fact that the shell casing was found outside of the vehicle as opposed to the inside of the vehicle, it is reasonable to infer that the shooting took place outside of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
You can see two individuals appearing to be in a confrontation outside the vehicle immediately before the shooting, can you not?
Yes.
Both of them are standing up at that time, correct?
No, sir. If I remember correctly, they come tumbling out of the car. The victim never has a chance to stand before he's shot.
Okay, so they were either one of them standing or were they both on the ground or what?
One was standing and Mr. Coleman was trying to stand at the time he was shot.
Okay. And how far would they have been from one another? Do you recall?
Within a couple feet.
You speak up a tad, please.
Within a couple feet, sir.
A couple feet. And if you can help me out, when you say a couple feet, how far is a couple feet?
2 to 3 feet.
Okay. Now, if you would come down off the witness stand very briefly. understand here, you are obviously significantly involved, but I'm just going to injure you, so you're fighting. You don't need a personal call, okay? Okay, there we go. So, did you ever see, based on what you can see, the two people this close to one another in video or face to face? Okay. And so, one of the guys is standing up, right? And is he erect? Standing all the way up? And so the other individual is face to face in the right? Right. So he's literally face to face, right? Okay, gotcha. Okay. Just to make sure we understand each other, it is not a situation where one person is standing up and the other person is literally on the ground like this.
Not to my knowledge, no.
No. Okay. Now, one shot is fired, correct?
Yes, sir.
And there is no blood. There is obviously a lot of blood at the scene, right?
Yes, sir.
The body is approximately, 8 to 10 feet from the driver's side of the door.
About, yes.
There is no blood found inside the car, is there?
To my knowledge, no.
There is a lot of blood in the immediate vicinity of the body, correct?
Yes, sir.
But distance between the car, the front door, driver's side door of the car, and the body, there are 7 or 8 feet or so where there is no blood, right?
Correct.
Most of the blood is consistent with the victim having been shot, fallen immediately, and then having bled from that location, correct?
Yes, sir.
You saw the clothing of Mr. Coleman, correct?
I did.
Did you see any sort of rips or tears to his clothing?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you collect any of the items? There's the COVID mask. Did you collect that?
Personally, no. That was collected by our crime scene technicians.
As well as the shell casing, correct?
Yes, sir.
As well as the, I guess the mask,
The holster?
shell casing, and what else? There were 3.
The holster.
Okay. Well, the holsters identical to one another,
They appeared similar.
Okay. The flock situation, Mr. Lewis has done a fairly thorough job of clarifying the situation regarding the flock, but let me just see if I understand a few things. First off, going back to the scene and watching the video of the black sedan, appears to be a Mercedes leaving the parking lot. You cannot see a tag number, can you?
I can't see the numerics now.
You can't tell any numbers or digits or letters or state of origin, correct?
Not off the numbers and digits.
Okay. But at some point you are looking for what you believe to be a Mercedes E350, right?
Yes, sir.
Specifically black, correct?
Yes, sir.
You find that such a vehicle has been located in the general area, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then the block system enables you, once you get a tag number, to figure out where that car has been for a period of time, wherever there are block cameras, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, if I'm understanding correctly, the QT on Peachtree Parkway, I don't know. So, if you get off on Peachtree Industrial, it makes not come over. Does that split off and one of it is over Peachtree Parkway and one of it is over Peachtree Industrial?
Yes, sir, it does.
And Peachtree Industrial goes to the left or the right?
Peachtree Industrial goes off to the right.
Okay, so Peachtree Parkway goes to the left, correct?
Yes, sir.
And how many miles are there between the QT on Peachtree Parkway until it intersects with Peachtree Industrial, aka 141?
Best estimate is probably 5 miles.
And then once you get on 141, how far is it to 280 miles?
Maybe another 10 miles.
So the QT to 285 is 12, 15 miles, is that right? Or is that back on the wall?
It's 12 miles sounds about correct to me.
Your testimony is that there is no flock camera anywhere between the QT heading south on either Peachtree Parkway or until it intersects with 141. Is that correct?
Correct. Not directly on Peachtree Parkway, but on. Not directly on Peachtree Parkway that would capture vehicles going southbound or northbound, but on branch off streets where you would turn off Peachtree Parkway there are.
But there are flock cameras pretty much anywhere and everywhere else, right?
Yes and no. I'm not the one who determines where flock cameras are placed.
So, I mean, you and Mr. Melvin went through a lengthy list of photographs, and you started with, I think, photograph number 21, State's Exhibit 21. Could we see that on the overhead projector or on the screen, please, sir? Mr. Melvin and Mr. Thank you. 21. Okay, now this photograph, this is State's Exhibit 21.
I need to see the time and I need to see the location. Okay. This is taken at 10:16 in the evening on the 9th of July, correct?
Yes, sir.
The homicide occurs on the 10th of July, approximately 12:40 or so in the afternoon. Is that a fair approximation?
Yes, sir.
Now, this photograph is taken at Northside Drive, right?
Yes, sir.
You know where Northside Drive is.
I do not.
Is it in the city of Atlanta as far as you know?
From what the flock information states, this is a Atlanta Police flock camera.
At the bottom of the photograph here, it says Atlanta Police Foundation. Is that consistent with being taken in the city of Atlanta, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let's go to number 22. This is a few minutes later again on Northside Drive, right?
It's about 1 second later.
Oh, 1 second. Oh, there we go. And again, still city of Atlanta, right?
Yes, sir.
Number 23. This is Hairston Road and Redan, I guess it's 12:18 a.m. right on the 10th, right?
Yes, sir.
The homicide in Gwinnett occurred at approximately 12:40 p.m., correct?
Yes, sir.
And this is in DeKalb County, right?
Yes, sir.
You know where Hairston and Redan are, right?
An approximation.
Stone Mountain area, right? Okay, next one. Page 24. This is then at 12:24 a.m. This is in Tucker, right?
Yes, sir.
That's in DeKalb County, right?
Yes, sir.
How far is Tucker from Peachtree Parkway?
I'm not sure. It's
Going back to Redan and North Hairston. How far is that from the QuikTrip on Peachtree Parkway?
I'm not sure, sir.
Fair enough. Next picture, State's Exhibit number 25. This is Mountain Industrial from Tucker, right?
Yes, sir.
This is 12:26 a.m. on the 10th, right?
Yes, sir.
And it says Tucker Summit CID. What does CID stand for?
It's my understanding it's Criminal Investigative Division.
And again, that would be a DeKalb County location, correct?
Yes, sir.
Next one, 26. Now, this is Brookhaven, correct?
Yes, sir.
And this is 2:35 in the morning on July 10th, right?
Yes, sir.
This is Westwood Hills, somewhere, I guess, near 2 or 85, right?
Yes, it says towards I, which would indicate towards 85.
Okay, and you know where Brookhaven is, right?
Yes, sir.
That is in DeKalb County, correct?
Yes, sir, it is.
Not far from the Fulton County line, and where Fulton and DeKalb meet,
Correct.
And west you were doing, letting you know what you were doing, right?
Yes, sir.
Again, how far is that from the QuikTrip on Peachtree Parkway?
It's a distance.
Speak up, sir.
It's a distance.
It's a distance, I understand it's a distance. Can you offer a specific estimate as to the distance?
No, sir, I cannot.
Okay, 27. And here's another one on West Hill, right?
Yes, sir.
28. Lawrenceville Highway, right?
Yes, sir.
This is in Gwinnett County, right?
Yes, sir, it is.
Middleburg, correct?
Yes, sir.
Lawrenceville Highway is nowhere near Peachtree Parkway, is it?
It's on the opposite side of 85 for us.
Okay. And this is at 1235 again on the 10th, correct?
Yes, sir.
29. This one is Brookhaven. Norcross Hill, is that what that means?
I believe so, yes. I believe so.
Again, nowhere near Peachtree or Parkway, right?
No, sir.
Go ahead, next one. Next word. Holly Lane, okay, but do you have any idea where on Holly Lane is?
I don't, sir.
Okay, looking like it's going through the at Holly Lane?
It appears to be a cross street, yes.
Gotcha. And again, nowhere near Peachtree Parkway, right?
No, sir.
31. Again, same thing, Holly Lane, okay, 32. Turner Hill and Mall Parkway. Do you know where that is?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay, have you ever been on I-20?
Briefly.
You go on from, if you get to 285 and then go east on I-20 towards Augusta, you know where the mall, I can't remember it. Not South Mall, the mall out with the light on here. Are you familiar with that particular mall?
No, sir, I'm not.
Fair enough, so no problem. But you don't know where Turner Hill is, right?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay. 33. Now this one is stated again on the 10th at 10:47 a.m. And again, we're talking about the Mall Parkway. That is consistent with the location apparently of State's Exhibit number 32, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it says East Metro CID on each of the photographs, does it not?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, go to 34. Again at 10:47 a.m. Same location, East Metro CID Mall Parkway, correct?
Yes, sir.
Same location, same approximate location as 33 and 32, correct?
It appears so, yes.
Okay, 35. And this is the former entrance card, 1126.
Yes, sir.
And 36. This is 1153 Spalding Drive, correct?
Yes, sir.
How far is Spalding Drive from the QuikTrip?
Less than a mile.
Okay. Now, that is approximately 50 minutes or so before the homicide, right?
Approximately, yes.
Okay. And from that time on, even though there is apparently a flock camera across the street from the QuikTrip, we never see this vehicle again, correct?
Not on flock, no, sir.
Not on flock. So, despite that there have been, doing the math here, I guess 16 pictures of this vehicle captured over a period of about 12, 14 hours in Atlanta, in Tucker, in Logan, in Lithonia, and in Brookhaven, there is nothing after the fact unflocked, right?
Not that I found, no, sir.
Okay. Now, you are concerned not so much about where the car was beforehand, but where the car was after, right?
Yes, sir.
And there again, flock is supposed to be an aid to enable you to see where the car might be, right?
Yes, sir.
And you can see the car here, there, and everywhere in the 12 to 14 hours leading up to the homicide, right?
Yes, sir.
But the time when the homicide actually happens, lo and behold, flock magically is unable to capture a single photograph of that particular license plate anywhere. Is that your testimony?
If it doesn't drive past the camera, we don't get a picture of it.
I don't have anything else. Thank you for coming, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great.
How are you?
Good. How are you, Mr. Drake?
I'm good. I always try to use proper titles. If I end up calling you officer, I am not trying to be disrespectful. I'm sorry, Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Certainly. Move around the courtroom if you don't need to request that. You said 2, 3, and 4 exhibit?
Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you a question without giving these back to you. Sometimes it's just easier for me to pull them out and then ask you about them than trying to go through. And Madam Court Reporter, may we steal these from you? Thank you. Steal's not a good word. We're going to politely. I apologize to everyone. Just wanted to take a little bit of time here. May I approach again, Your Honor?
Absolutely.
I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 6, which is a picture of Mr. Coleman outside of the vehicle. In State's Exhibit number 6, is there any blood between his foot and his paw?
Not that I can see.
And was that the position you found him in when you arrived?
Yes, ma'am.
And let me go to another picture. I'll try to keep these in order. Trying to hear about getting it out. I just want to clarify, State's Exhibit 9, which has been admitted into evidence. Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. State's Exhibit number 9, was that the one that was found outside the holster?
Outside the car, yes, ma'am.
And State's Exhibit number 13. Both of the car doors are open. Is that the way the car appeared when you arrived?
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe this is going to be the last one, State's 15. In State's 15, is there a shoe located in the floorboard of the passenger side?
Yes, ma'am, there is.
Was there another shoe in that picture that you can see?
It's going to be under the back passenger side door.
And I'm going to point to it. Is that what you're referencing?
Yes, ma'am.
And those appear to be one of a pair of the matching shoes?
Yes, ma'am.
And where was the casing in relation to Mr. Coleman's body?
I believe it was closer to his feet.
And about guns, if a bullet is ejected, doesn't it normally go backwards to the right?
It's more to the right than backwards.
Okay, but to the right.
To the right, yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked and shown to the state as defendants exhibits 2, 3, and 4. If you would just take a look at those. Let me know when you're done. Do you know what defendants exhibit 2 is?
2 looks like a print off of what would have been the CAD call at the time.
And can you please explain to the jury what is a CAD call?
So CAD stands for Computer Aided Dispatch. It is inputted by our 911 operators to give us information before we get to the scene, give us an address, the signal for what type of call we're going to. In this case, it's a person shot call. It notes date, time, and once something's been entered into the CAD call, it can't be deleted.
And does that indicate that you were dispatched or that you were involved in this CAD call?
It does.
And does it appear to be alternating?
No, ma'am, it doesn't.
Your Honor, I would tender into evidence defendants exhibit 2.
All right, defendant's exhibit 2 is admitted without objection.
And before I start asking you questions, if you would please look at defendants 3 and 4. Defendants 3 and 4. And if you would compare 3 to State's Exhibit 35, and then defendants 4 to State's Exhibit 36. And please let me know when you're done. First, do you recognize what defendants 3 and 4 are?
Yes, they're block photos.
Are they copies of what is States 35 and 36?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any difference other than one appears to be an original color and the other one is a black and white photostat copy?
Not that I can see.
Your Honor, at this point I would tender into evidence defendants 3 and 4.
All right, defendant's exhibits 3 and 4 are admitted without objection.
And if you would, sir, I'm going to take defendants 3 and 4. And if you would refer to 35 and 36 to make it easier. But I do want to ask you a question. On defendants 2, does it have a time that the 911 call came in?
It has the time the call was created. I'm not sure if it's the time the 911 call came in exactly, but it's close.
Okay, and what
I'm
time would
going
that
to ask you to speak into the microphone to
I'm
make
sorry, Your
sure.
Honor.
It's okay. When you turn, then we don't catch your voice. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So this was created at what time, sir?
12:39 p.m.
And 52 seconds. It gets down to the actual milliseconds there. And that was 12:39 in the afternoon.
Yes, ma'am.
And what date was that?
That was July 10th, 2022.
So the last 2 photos that we have of the Mercedes 350 with the tag CB90487, if you would look at States 35, which you said corresponding to defendants 3, the time on that is what, sir?
A little over an hour before the call was created.
And that time is at 11:26 a.m. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, ma'am.
and that is directly across from the QT.
Yes, ma'am.
And then if you would, please look at Defendants 4. And where is that from?
This is one intersection down from the QT,
And what time was that?
11:53 a.m.
And how long before the call was created on the CAD report were they already away from the foreman, whoever they were in that car?
According to this, about 50 minutes.
And I wanted to ask you just a little bit about your search, because I don't believe that you and I have discussed this. When you look for something on Flock, are you just seeing the back of the car, or are you seeing the front of the car?
Just the back of the car.
The particular car that you saw when you reviewed QT video, did the headlights appear to have any alterations to them?
They did not.
Now, without seeing specifically the car on Flock, you cannot say whether there were modifications made to the headlights on that particular car. Would that be a fair statement?
Not. I can't tell from the flock cameras, no, ma'am.
And when you're searching for these particular headlights, did you keep going until you found one that matched?
Yes, ma'am.
So how many different types of cars did you look at?
I compared whatever Google put up on the screen to whatever E-Class or whatever black Mercedes sedan showed up in the Google search.
Did you look at the E450 by chance?
I don't recall.
If I can have just a moment, please.
Certainly.
That's all I have. Thank you for taking it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Miller?
Just wanted to recross. Officer Berkeley, Ms. Ray asked you, that's all the flock pictures we got, but there may be more flock pictures involved in this case that are not before you. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
And let's talk just a second about the queries of flock. Did you query flock?
Send a search through it?
Yeah, when you were talking about flock earlier, how do you actually say what car you want to for flock canvases?
So you can limit your search if you don't have a license plate or a tag for the vehicle. You can search it by make, color. It doesn't get specific to model, but you can limit down the search to what exactly you're looking for.
And when you figured out that it was a Mercedes E350, did you enter that query the date and time around this month?
It gets only specific to black Mercedes sedan. When I found this one that we determined was an E350, that's when I found this car.
That's what I want to do on. You said that you found this one. When you entered black Mercedes E350, how many automobiles came up from your search?
Just this one.
Thank you.
I thought I understood that the first time, but I also understood you say
That there are absolutely zero flock cameras from the QT all the way down to 285 on the particular road, Peachtree Industrial, is that right?
Peachtree Parkway, 2 Peachtree Industrial.
Peachtree Parkway, I got you. Thank you very much. How long are the flock photos preserved? Do you know?
I do not. I don't know how long Flock keeps them. I know I can search for a car as far back as 60 days in the settings I have for the application.
Okay, and typically you ask for the largest search when you're doing this type of search where there's a shooting. Is that fair to say?
It depends on the time frame. In this immediate area, a search of 1 to 2 days, because we know the shooting occurred with this vehicle. I'm not looking for whoever drove this car 2 months beforehand.
I got you. So your search may have been limited to basically 48 hours. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
The prosecutor's asking about potential other flock videos.
were you aware that any other law enforcement officer ran a flock
Request for the same E350 license CD 90487?
I'm not sure what officer may or may not have.
Thank you very much.
flock hits for that particular vehicle that you were searching. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, ma'am.
And what we have here are all of the flock videos that you received when you input that information.
For this particular tag, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Are there flock cameras on here?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Is there any sort of surveillance system that captures vehicles on the
The only surveillance that I know of would be live feed cameras from DOT, but they don't record.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
All right, no more questions. We'll ask that Officer Murphy to excuse. No objection. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Officer Murphy, and you can stay in the courtroom or go back to your place of business.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.